Dutch Square Malacca. Dutch Square Malacca is the most picturesque along Jalan Kota. It's also a colourful trishaw pickup point. It is distinguished by a group of bright terracotta-red colonial Dutch buildings, built between 1660 and 1700 with louvred windows and chunky doors with wrought iron hinges. A central fountain dominates this area. It is an ornate Victorian marble addition erected in 1904 to commemorate Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee. One of the oldest surviving parts of Melaka, Dutch Square's most prominent building is the Stadthuys. Presiding over the entire south side of the Dutch Square, it was completed in 1660, and it's said to be the oldest existing Dutch building in the East. Fountain commemorating Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee. Handed over to the British in the late 19th century, the centrepiece of the square remains a fountain commemorating Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee. Built to commemorate Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee in 1901, the fountain is an addition to the Dutch Square. Each of the colonial powers that control Malacca left its imprints on the rule around the area, and the Brits left this edifice. A popular backdrop for tourist photos, it was almost always crowded with people seeking photo opportunities. Stadthuys design. Inside the Stadthuys is a beautiful with white monumental staircase and high windows. It looks like a typical 17th century Dutch municipal building, and it's very attractive and well maintained. The view from the back windows is of whitewashed homes lining the courtyard. A picturesque sight indeed. Sandwiched between Christchurch and Lakshmana Road in the Malaysian Youth Museum and Art Gallery built in 1784, it was originally intended as the Dutch administrative complex, but it was turned into the Melaka Free School in 1826. In the 1920s, it was used as a post office and it is a museum today. Melaka's iconic red clock tower. Also within the Dutch square is the Beng Swee clock tower. Even though it looks distinctly Dutch, it was actually built by a wealthy Straits Chinese family in 1886 to honor Beng Swee, a rich Chinese merchant. The 134-year-old iconic red clock tower, located at Dutch Square in Stadthuys here, is one of the main tourist draws. More commonly known as the Beng Swee clock tower, it was built about 61 years after the Dutch surrendered Malacca to the British, and it is not actually as old as the Dutch Colonial administration buildings, Stadthuys, which was built around 1650. Now 100 years old, the clock was never allowed to stop because over the years it has been carefully cleaned, serviced, and every component tested to ensure it continues to tick for another 134 years or longer. The hourly striking clock is among the core zones recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and Melaka as one of these states selected to boost Visit Malaysia 2020. Christchurch Malacca. Christchurch Malacca is an 18th century Anglican church in the city of Melaka City, Malaysia. It is the oldest functioning Protestant church in Malaysia and is within the jurisdiction of the Lower Central Archdeaconry. Originally painted white, the church and the neighboring Stadthuys building was painted red in 1911, and this distinctive color scheme has remained the hallmark of the Malacca's Dutch-era building since. The floors of the church also incorporate various tombstones, with Portuguese and Armenian inscriptions used as paving blocks. Memorial plaques in Dutch, Armenian, and English also adorn the interior of the church. Some Armenian inscriptions provide an interesting panorama of life in the Dutch period. The church bell is inscribed with the date 1698, suggesting that it was used for another purpose prior to the completion of the church. Silver altar vessels dating back to the early Dutch period are also in the possession of the church, but is kept in storage and rarely taken out for display. Melaka is one of the 13 states of Malaysia, and it's an important trade route, not only nationally but internationally as well as within the Asian community, and connects both East and West Malaysia. We will take a close look at how this multicultural city has transformed. Melaka was in the past of the center of a great empire because of its location at the narrowest strait where the eastern and the western winds merge, making it the ideal site for a major trading port of the old world ships. This was the reason for the tiny fishing village to have been grown so fast as a port city after Prince Boram Ausan decided to set up the town in 1403 under the name Malacca from the amla tree called Malaka tree by the local people. And regarded by the auspicious plan of Melaka, Malacca River flows from central Malaysia to drain into the sea around the mouth of the Gulf that divides Malacca town into two parts. Once half a century ago, this was one of the busiest rivers in the world, so much that it was dubbed the Venice of the East. In August 1511, the Portuguese made Malacca their new trading station in Asia, leading to the opening of the trade route with other central powers in Southeast Asia, China, and Japan. Maritime Museum Malacca was built as a replica of the Portuguese ship named for Adilama, which could transport us back to the past over 500 years ago, where the Portuguese arrived first. Malacca came under the Portuguese rule until the early 17th century AD, when the Netherlands started to take control of the Malay Peninsula and took over Malacca from the Portuguese, who were in the decline of the influences with the establishment of the Dutch East India Company. VOC, a powerful monopoly to carry trade activities, Red Square, or known to many Dutch Square, was the center of Dutch community at the time of its rule in Malacca in place of the Portuguese surrounding. The square and various buildings in Western architectural style, major structures are Christchurch Malacca, or the Red Protestant Church, was built in 1741 and took 12 years to complete. Stadthuys building was constructed in 1650 as the residence of the Dutch Governor General, is the oldest Dutch building in Malaysia, presently used as a historical, archaeological, and literary museum of Malacca. Red Square was built in 1904, dedicated in honor of Queen Victoria of Britain, while the clock tower was built in 1886 by a Chinese millionaire. All these are one part of historical evidence of the British rule in Malacca after the Second World War. Malacca had joined the Federation of Malaya and became a part of Malaysia. Tunku Abdul Rahman, the first Prime Minister of Malaysia, declared independence from Britain on August 31st, 1957. Regarded as the beginning of a new chapter of the history of Malaysia. As a familiar saying goes, this history of Malaysia begins here in all with its history involving diverse ethnic and religious groups. Malacca of the present day is a multicultural city. The majority of the population are Malays, followed by the Chinese, Indians, and people of Portuguese ancestry from the colonial rule in such racial diversity. There are groups of people in Malacca who are results of cross-cultural matching. Malacca is a ride on the beautifully decked tricycle as a welcome alternative for a sightseeing tour of this colorful ancient community. 6 centuries of coexistence among people from diverse races and tongues make Malacca a city rich in history and profuse cultures. All these make the ancient port city inscribed on a World Heritage Site by UNESCO, along with Georgetown on the 7th of July 2008, under the name Malacca and Georgetown. Historical cities of the Straits of Malacca are not only just the first cultural heritage of Malaysia, but more importantly, the city of Malacca is a living World Heritage City that will live on as always. We can study it in terms of religious, cultural, ethnicity, and also identify as well because this city is mixed with diverse people, a diversity of beliefs, diverse religions, and also diverse culture like the Arsene community. We will take a close look at how this multicultural city has transformed.